Duel Review is brought to you by NexusDigitalComics.com.
This week on Duel Review, Modern Warfare 3, followed by Full Metal Alchemist.
That's right, we take a look at Watchmen the movie, and we start off the week with Watchmen the comic. I'm RJ.
And I'm Nick.
Let's get to it. Watchmen.
Welcome to Monday the 12th of December. We're doing Watchmen the comic.
That's right. Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, and it's 1986 to 87. And yeah, it's a really great series. What more can I say? If you don't know about it, you haven't seen the movie. The movie is a very good translation. We're going to be.
I think it was almost like an exact translation.
Yeah,
only there were some things omitted.
We'll definitely talk about that and also expanded. We'll talk about that a little bit on Friday. But today we just wanted to relive the comic here a little bit. If you haven't read it, you really need to read it.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like pivotal to our generation. Like you can see how, back in the day, it comes in a nice thick volume now. It's like nicely bound.
You're missing the dust cover.
Yeah, I take it off because I always ruin the dust covers if I love them. They're stupid. Whatever. Dust. Dust.
My book will die because of dust.
It's irritating. It's always hard for me because I always want to instantly throw them away because they just get ripped anyway.
Yeah.
But then if I ever want to keep collector's value, I gotta have them or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. So Watchmen, it's like we say, it's pivotal to kind of our generation. It's superheroes, what happens when they get hunted, kind of thing. And we've got several generations in there that we're following. That's one thing that I was always confused, or I've heard people being confused. And after not reading the comic for a long time, seeing the movie, there was that split second where I was didn't realize that the comedian then was the comedian now because he dresses so differently and looks so different.
Huh.
It was just one of those, oh yeah, duh, kind of thing. And of course, people like my wife were like, who the heck is that? Why, where did he come? Whatever.
Right.
They didn't get that at all.
So for the
wardrobe change is whoa, blow our mind, because we've been trained by all the rest of you guys, not the fans,
the comic book artists
they always wear the same thing all the time. So anyway, Watchmen follows Rorschach writing in his journal.
Right.
He is the famous character. He's the character that everybody loves. I mean, Dr. Manhattan as well, but Rorschach, he's got that
I really like Night Owl.
Bad attitude. Do you?
Yeah.
I think you're the first one I've ever really liked Night Owl. So
I like
that he's a bad character. He's just not one of those memorable.
Actually,
characters.
honestly, I think they're all very great characters and all very memorable.
Well, see, but Owlman is very clearly Batman. You know what I mean?
Owlman.
Well, whatever. He's very clearly
Owlman.
Batman, and it's it's one of those things. Rorschach is different. I guess he's a little bit like Wolverine, maybe, in his attitude, kind of really rough and guff. But
I think we need to note that these characters all have absolutely no powers, with the exception of Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah. And Dr. Manhattan is an accident, basically. Kind of a Hulkish story. Or who's the other one? Who's the one that basically the same powers in Marvel? In Marvel? He's atomized and... Anyway, he's kind of this all-powerful being. And the funny thing is that this book goes into these personality quirks and really breathes life into these heroes. Like Dr. Manhattan, he's gotten to the point where he starts losing touch with humanity. I mean, he's not technically human anymore, I guess. Yeah. But he starts being so removed, he can see his future, and so... that I enjoy. He starts not caring because... he's very dehumanized. But I think Dr. Manhattan's ability to see into the future was a very interesting plot line because... at one point, it's he knows what's going to happen, but he can't change it. Well, it's predestined. Right. Yeah, he's going through the motions. But it's not like he chooses not to do it. He understands that it can't change it. Nothing can change. I don't know. There's that moment where Silk Spectre is trying to get him to, even though he's you're going to say this and I'm going to say this and whatever, she's still, trying to get him to, and I guess there is kind of a question of whether he does that or not when he comes back from Mars. So do you want to fill in some more of the story? I mean, we've got the retired group. Well, okay. Yeah. So
how these superheroes came about is like this. There were for the most part, the first heroes were officers of the law, and as just for fun, they started. The villains started. The robbers started wearing masks, so just for fun, they started wearing masks just to be silly. But that kind of spurred other people.
The Hood was the first one.
Right. Yeah. Hooded Justice.
Got a noose around his neck and his arms. It's kind of weird that it's got him on his wrists. But
yeah, I never really understood his. There's a lot to him that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think.
They were smart enough to put those in. I don't think they ever wrote for them.
Yeah, they don't get into any of that story. They don't get into any of that character other than the fact that they were there. And I think that's interesting because now I secretly want to know more about them, but I don't because I don't want to ruin what I've already designed for them.
Yeah, and see, like in this book, I don't know if all of them have it, but they have the Chronicles of Night Owl, the previous Night Owl.
Oh, right. So
and it's called Under the Hood, and so at first I was like, oh, it's going to be that character. Like I finally get to find out what the hell's up
Hooded Justice,
with the noose, but it's not.
But so yeah, in the comic book, in most of the, I think all of them, I'm almost positive it's in all of them. There's an autobiography.
So,
yeah, it's got to be because it's part of the book. So there's a written autobiography, it's a faux autobiography written by the first Night Owl.
It's kind of a few pages after each issue.
Right.
There's 12 issues.
And it's absolutely worth reading because it gives you more of the story. So you have the cops who became heroes, then you have the other people who decided to join in, and then you have the new heroes who took over for the retiring old heroes. The plot line is set in 1970, 1980s?
Yeah, it's 80s when we get to Rorschach and whatever, but before that was 50s.
Okay, yeah.
It's an alternate reality, and there's Vietnam alternate reality.
Right.
Nixon stays president. All sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and so the war. There's a lot of talk about nuclear war, and everyone's afraid, and everyone's feeling this catastrophe coming. And
and Dr. Manhattan is basically the assurance against nuclear war because they figure that nobody'd be crazy enough because he, in a blink of an eye, can do whatever he wants, vaporize people. And he's kind of like...
You kind of gave away a little too much there.
Did I?
Yeah. Let's get into Dr. Manhattan for a little bit right there. Dr. Manhattan was a doctor, not necessarily named Manhattan, who, in an experiment gone wrong, got his atoms blown apart, I guess. He was destroyed. And then he still had a consciousness, so he was able to bring himself back together. And now that he's not human anymore, he's more, I guess, energy or something. He has all these abilities. He can grow in size. He can, teleport. He can, I guess, set off explosions. I don't know. He could do anything. He could just bend reality. He can do anything.
Right, but I mean, really, early in the book, they say he's the safeguard against nuclear war. So
yes.
Then of course, I guess we won't give that part away, but so anyway,
so the book starts. there's a lot that we don't want to give away because there is a lot of very interesting.
For some odd reason, you haven't read it or seen the movie.
Right.
How do you think about the art?
I like the art. This was published in 1986.
Yeah, 86, 87 was the original.
For then, it's actually I enjoyed it very much. I mean,
it's interesting the color scheme. They talk about using some purples.
Yeah, they got the purples and the greens. This is actually
it's basically purples and yellows rather than blues and
reds and yeah.
So it is kind of a strange 80s color scheme to me. So that dates it for sure.
But it totally works for everything.
Yeah, it does. It gives a certain mood, and it makes it different. It makes it stand out to me.
Absolutely.
I technically don't like it as far as the color schemes, but it does make it stand out to me. So
you technically don't like it?
I don't like the color scheme.
Really? I enjoy it very much.
I'm not a big fan of purple. I'm just not.
I am.
Okay. The color of royalty.
It is.
So anyway, great read. Like I say, it's only 12 issues. They are actually pretty long, though. I mean, each one is...
Oh, yeah. They're
definitely 20-some pages plus the chapter inserts.
Yeah, the autobiography, yeah.
But a fascinating read.
What I like about this book is there are so many things. There's layers upon layers in here, and everything is very interesting. You have you have Night Owl's autobiography, you have the conflict in the present day, plus the kind of recurrence of the past issues. Plus, you have like they throw in a comic book in there for good measure that you can follow.
Yeah.
It's got so many layers. It's just awesome. It was definitely a book I could not put down at all.
Yeah, they did a really good job. And if you're just too darn lazy to read all the issues, I'm going to recommend the animated comic. Animated comic is like literally panel for panel the same. It's just there's a little bit of moving, and like instead of 2 panels, they just have 1 panel with his arm move or something. But the drawback for that, as opposed to also you're lazy if you're doing it, is that the voice acting is pretty poor. It's not really that engaging. Rorschach just sounds like a whatever. It just sounds too normal. I think the movie did a much better job.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. All right. I'm doing the Nixon piece all of a sudden for some reason. It's like
we'll get into it.
Subconscious. 4 more years. Okay. All right. That's Watchmen. That's all there is to it.
Well, there's a lot more than that, but we don't want to give away too much. Plus, we have to save some for the movie.
Go read it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Read it, buy it. I think this is a must-have as far as...
I agree.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are. You have to have it.
If you don't want to buy it, you need to at least have it under your belt. For sure.
I think you should buy it. I think it should just be sitting right next to your copy of, the Anne Rice series and whatever else.
Original Anne Rice.
Yeah, the original Anne Rice, the Vampire Chronicles.
Okay, I'm Rorschach, and that's a building.
What?
Grapple gun. Oh! Right in the whoa. I'm sorry, sir. I just killed you.
Yeah, well, you kind of threw me off. I was in the middle of saying something. You're like, screw you, Nick.
All right.
Well, since I'm a black dot, I'll see you later.
See you later. Nick the Nexus. Modern Warfare 3 on the next Duel Review. On today's creepy Duel Review. Hey, what's up?
Welcome to Duel Review,
Where we review stuff hardcore.
This week on Duel Review, we're taking care of Modern Warfare 3 and Full Metal Alchemist.
That's right, we take a look at the Watchmen the movie, and we start off the week with Watchmen the comic book, animated as well. I'm RJ.
And I'm Nick.
Let's get to it. So one more time, maybe you don't have to look down.
Yeah, maybe. This week on Duel Review, Modern Werewolf. Modern Werewolf 3.
You play that game.
Of course. Actually, that sounds like a great game. I would totally play that.
Someone make it.
Okay.